Atlantic Coastline, anything CSX, Amtrak in the broad daylight. All things that, for someone like me, are relatively hard to find, but all things that can be found with relative ease in the state of Florida, and all things that I was able to catch, and more, on a recent trip to Orlando. There's a lot of different trains to see here, and a lot of things to show, so let's get started in this look at some of the trains to be found in Florida. The first stop to catch a lot of trains is somewhere you may not expect to have a lot of rail action, Walt Disney World's Magic Kingdom, which, besides a certain circus train, also includes the narrow-gauge, steam-powered Walt Disney World Railroad. Now, you may remember, some of you, that I actually did go to Disney World last year, and I didn't really mention the railroad at all. That is because, on my visit last year, the railroad was out of service due to the construction of another ride, but now it has fortunately been reopened again, so this time I was able to ride one of the trains and see some of the steam action that they had there.
Please remain seated. Always with you at all clear friends. Please remain fully seated.
Till our train comes to a complete stop. And we'll make up your belongings and carefully disembark. If you have strollers to unfold, please take them all the way beyond the platform so new passengers can safely hop aboard and be mighty kind. And while we're being neighbors, what say we give our fellow travelers a friendly wave hello? This is Main Street Station.
And there's actually an interesting history behind the steam engines at the Walt Disney World Railroad. All four of them, even though I only saw two, there are four, all four of them were built by Baldwin in the 1910s, worked for a railway in Mexico, specifically Yucatan, were bought by Disney in 1969, sent from Yucatan to Tampa, where they were restored to their current appearance, and then delivered by truck the rest of the way to their current home in Disney World. Quite an extensive history for these now famous locomotives. Not only that, because Walt Disney himself was a rail fan, the main floor in the Main Street USA station has been decorated with a lot of railroad memorabilia, not just information about the four engines. Who would have thought that you could find models of the Big Boy and the Royal Hudson in Magic Kingdom? So those were the train items to be found in Magic Kingdom. I was actually quite surprised at how much different stuff they had there. I mean, I know that Walt Disney was a rail fan and everything, but still, I found it quite pleasant how much there was and all that. But so that's Disney World. Now on to the train thing in Florida that I wanted to see the most, The blue and yellow Class 1 railroad itself, CSX. Now, being someone from the Midwest, on the rare occasion that I did see a CSX engine, it was almost always in the form of foreign power on a railroad other than its own. So now that I had this opportunity to be in Florida, I wanted to catch an abundance of CSX on actual CSX rails. And there was one place in Florida where I knew I could find a lot of CSX. Well, two places actually. The first, technically, is a little location known as Taft Yard, and I had seen this place a little bit before. At the very end of my trip to Disney World, like right when we were going back to the airport, we just drove over this CSX yard, and it caught me off guard because I didn't know it was there. So when I went on this trip, I knew it was there, so I did catch a little bit more. I was able to see some more unique CSX engines, like the SD40-3s, some stuff that I hadn't really seen before. But the actual location that I was planning on going to was a town that some of you may have heard of before by the name of Plant City, a place which includes diamonds, a railroad museum, a train viewing platform, Amtrak, CSX, and a virtual Railfan camera. And with all that stuff to be found, I knew I just had to check it out. So one afternoon, we got in the car, the rental car, we drove onto Interstate 4, got stuck in traffic for over an hour, but was it worth it? Absolutely. Just see for yourself.
He said that, I was like,
I just saw a big blue engine all of a sudden. I'm like, oh my gosh, I did it. CSX. Ladies and gentlemen, Amtrak Silver Star train number 91.
when Grandpa and I drove down to Florida when we were down for his meeting and that we went there, and I mean I'll never forget it. It was just like looking at, I can't believe you guys.
I don't know if I'll get on the camera, but hello, virtual rail fan. And there is the diamond. And that is Plant City. And now that I've been there, I can say without a doubt that it is definitely worth all the attention and the fame and stuff that it's been given by rail fans because, yeah, it's a really nice place. The museum is great. There's some nice train action, and the people are nice too. I actually talked with some other rail fans who were from Florida on the platform while I was waiting for the next train. And they were the ones who told me that Taft Yard was called Taft Yard, so kudos to them. But, yeah, it was all around just a nice place to go to, and I definitely reached my goal by the end of the trip of seeing a lot of CSX, both in Orlando and Plant City. So, yes, a very nice trip. Great to see some more of some railroads that I didn't really see much of otherwise, even though it is nice to be back in my Midwestern rail setting. But, yeah, that's more or less the trains of Florida. There is some more train stuff in Florida that I didn't really catch, like the commuter rail, the commuter train, Sunrail, which I didn't really see any of. There's the Class 2 Railroad, Florida East Coast, which I did see their main line, and I did hear one of their trains, but I didn't see it, so I wasn't able to really include Florida East Coast. And there's Amtrak's well-known auto train in Sanford, and all the other local industrial, smaller rail operations across Florida. So there is a decent amount of stuff which I didn't really include in this video, but I was just mostly focused on catching CSX because that's just what I wanted to see the most. And being a Class 1 railroad, it has like pretty much the biggest presence in Central Florida. So yeah, that was nice to see all that, and also nice to see some Amtrak, and of course, the stuff at Disney World. So, yeah, overall, a great trip. I hope you all enjoyed this look at the trains in Florida, and yeah, just nice to see a lot of Eastern railroads. So, I hope you enjoyed.